Today, I'm gonna show you exactly how to remix any song from scratch, step by step. We're gonna start from this.
She don't wanna strip no more, don't wanna hit that pole.
And we'll get to this.
She don't wanna strip no more, don't wanna hit that pole. In my own club, I get in and go.
I'm gonna walk you through every step of the process, extracting vocals and stems, building up your drums, bass, melodies, arrangement, and mixing. Everything you need to flip any song into a finished remix. And I know you've probably watched 1,000 remix tutorials already, and now you're thinking, oh no, not another one. But I promise in this video you're gonna learn stuff that nobody is talking about. Not only about producing the track, but also when you're done. Like, what do you do with it? How can you try to make it official and release it on different platforms? Can you release it at all? Well, we're gonna talk about that too. And this is such an important part, guys, because that's exactly how I launched my career. But I'll tell you that story later in the video. If you're excited, drop a like on the video before we even start. And now let's dive into this. All right, so the very first step of the process is gonna be selecting our song. I already have a song that I've been wanting to remix for so long. It's No Pole by Don Toliver. So now that you know which song you wanna remix, the next step is gonna be isolating the vocals from the instrumental. And this is optional, extracting the stems as well. The website that I use for extracting the acapella and the stems is lalal.ai, and I have a few reasons why I like to use this one so much. So first of all, it has the stem splitter. Look at this. You can extract separate stems like drums, bass, piano, synths, and this sometimes can be so useful because maybe there are some instruments that you really love about that original song, but you only want to keep that one instrument, and now you can do it. In this case, I think I'm only going to use the acapella, so I'm going to split vocal and instrumental, and now I have these vocals that sound really good, like super clean. But there are two more things that I really recommend you guys start to do if you really want to stand out. Separate the background vocals from the lead, and also remove the echo and the reverb from the vocals. You can definitely hear how dry these are, and so you can start from the vocals completely dry and then apply your own effects. This is like a game changer for me because I'm gonna have extra flexibility in the vocal production that we're gonna tackle later in the video. What I want to do real quick is select all three of these vocals and warp them at their original tempo so that I can possibly work at a faster tempo, and this way we make sure that the vocals stay on the grid. Put them in Complex Pro, and I know this is going to be a house remix, and so first thing first, I want to add a kick 4 on the floor. I'm looking for something punchy. I like this one.
Don't wanna strip no more, don't wanna hit that pole.
And right away, I just want to add a little bit of sidechain to the vocals.
Don't wanna strip no more, don't wanna hit that pole.
Okay, that's better. Just putting this kick 4 on the floor already gave a totally different vibe to the song. And this actually gives me the chance to talk about something that I think is crucial when approaching a remix. You gotta ask yourself, what kind of remix do you want it to be? And here, to me, you only have two options. You can try to keep some of the vibe of the original song, or you can try to do something pretty different. There is no right answer to this question, but in this case, I want to keep that vibe of the original song, and so I'm also going to keep the same chords. This way, when people hear the remix, it's going to feel very familiar, and in this case, the chords are only 2, followed by this one. Oh, so good. And if you can't find the chords yourself, well, you can simply Google them, or maybe you can extract from the instrumental like I showed you before, like a piano or a synth that has the chords, and then you can just put it in Ableton, right click, and select Convert Harmony to New MIDI Track. It's super handy and it works pretty well. I'm just gonna record these chords real quick so that I have them, you know? It's always these two, so I can just duplicate this. And guys, let me know in the comments which song you're trying to remix right now and what genre you make. Now it's actually time to find an identity to this remix. And to do this, for now, I'm not worried about working on the full song. I'm just gonna work on these 8 bars until I have found something that really speaks to me, and then it's gonna be so much easier to extend that to the rest of the song. So real quick, sidechain on this pad. And we have this. Okay, nice. And I think the next step for me would be trying to find a cool bass line that can go with this. This is one of the signatures of my sound, having a cool, groovy bass line that really makes you move. And so I think for this, I want to try to use the Moog. Let's go for like something, yeah, something like that. I think it's pretty good. Oh, okay. Wait. And we always have to double check together with the vocals to see if the bass line also works with the vocals. Let me try that idea. Oh my God, I love this bass line. What did I just do? Okay. So for the bass line, which notes do you want to play? Well, it depends. But in general, let's say that if you keep the chords from the original song, in this case, for example, the chords are like C minor, 7, whatever, and F minor. So you can probably use C and F, you know, so the root notes of the chords to build your bass line. So yeah, depending how familiar you are with music theory, but in general, you can start from the root note of each chord. Okay, so there was one take that I really loved. The timing was not so perfect, but the notes that I played in this one, I think are really, really good. I think I just played a little bit too many notes. So I quantized it using Command U if you're on Ableton, and this way I'm sure it's on the grid. So now, for example, this note, I don't want it. Same thing for this one. Now, exactly, so much better. By quantizing this, we have kind of lost that bounciness that I had while I was playing the bass line. And that's because I was playing the bass line with a lot of swing already in it. To add the swing back, what we can do is select one of the grooves that are in the groove pool. In this case, I went for the MPC 3000. I always keep a bunch of these grooves in the groove pool for these occasions if I want to quickly try if the swing is going to work or not. And of course, 100% is going to be really extreme. So I usually start from like, I don't know, 30%, something like that. And if I need to hear it more, I'm going to try to increase it. But let's hear it now. Listen to how this is bouncing already. But I think we can push it a little bit more. And let's put the vocals in. My God, listen how this is bouncing now. Just kick, bass, and the vocals basically. We can even try to mute these chords and see. Oh my God. I actually think that I want a section of the song where we only have the bass, the kick, and the vocals with no chords at all, because like this sounds so good. And now that I'm listening to this, I'm thinking that these sustained chords coming from the pad, I mean, they might be good for like supporting, but I don't think it's this pad that should play the main harmony of the song. Since I definitely want to bring this closer to something 90s influenced, we can try to use a piano. I don't want this to be piano house. I would like to have maybe a piano, like a syncopated piano that plays these chords. So I actually want to try to load an M1 piano, just like the most basic dance piano that you can find. This one right here. If we can find a way to like move these chords a little bit more. This could actually be a good way of keeping that harmony from the original one, but at the same time bringing it into this definitely like very 90s house vibe, you know? As you can see, obviously I haven't played it perfectly on the grid, but what I like to do in these cases to keep a little bit of this human feeling, like someone has actually played it, is keeping this like kind of strum that I had while I was playing, but moving this on the grid. I'm just using the arrows in my keyboard. So this way, the first note is going to be exactly on the grid, but we kind of like preserve this shape of me strumming, you know? We want to use the same swing that we've used for the bass. So let me see now with the bass and the vocals. How does this sound? Yeah! Let me put the sidechain on it. Oh my God, with the sidechain, everything changes. Oh my God, I love this. This is exactly what I had in mind. But like I said, I don't want to make a piano house remix of this song. I like the piano to be in there to give that, you know, 90s flavor. But at the same time, I want to make this sound a little less bright, less aggressive, you know, and have it just a little bit more in the back. And I think I want to use this one here, vinyl, because this is gonna definitely help me bringing it in a like different territory, a little less aggressive. We can try different decades, but I think I want to keep 2000 here. This is the closest to 90s, you know? Yeah, 60s makes it too thin. I kind of want to keep this. Yeah, and you can make it darker by increasing the wear. Just a little bit, I think. It's not as aggressive as it was before. And so we leave more room for especially the vocals and that bass line to come out. But I also want to add, I think, a bunch of effects like a little bit of reverb. Actually, instead of a reverb, I might want to play with the lalal delay, which is so good for these kind of things. Yeah. I love it. And real quick, I also added 2 more plugins. I added this micro shift here to give it more of that chorusy effect. Now it feels wider and it kind of makes it feel a little bit more washed out, which is what I wanted for this sound. And I also added just a touch of saturation, a little bit of drive with this incredible plugin, because again, I want to try to make this sound older than it is, you know? I want to try to bring it back a few decades. And so now okay. Oh yeah. Now I'm starting to like it. And actually, now that I think about it, maybe these chords, now if we put them in real quiet, they can probably help. This was like a random sound that I selected earlier. Maybe I want to choose a different sound, but like having a pad that just, you know, like a carpet. I think it helps. I like it. And now I just had an idea. Again, I'm trying to give this remix that 90s flavor. And so I was also thinking about maybe using an M1 organ as the bass, but that's like, I don't know, that's so cliche, you know, like everybody's done that before. I don't want to do what everyone else is doing, but maybe layer some of these notes with like an organ bass. So I'm actually thinking of trying Analog Lab, because inside Analog Lab there are so many cool organ sounds, and maybe type house. Oh, as you can see, I already have a bunch of these organs liked. Oh, this is cool. I put like a saturator here and also Camel Crasher, which like you can't see the interface of, but it works. And so maybe yeah. Okay. And also one thing that I want to try is adding a little bit crusher to this sound. It also makes it easier to detect within the whole mix. Exactly, something like that. And after a little bit more processing that I added, like some EQing, a little bit of chorus, and then also a little delay because I wanted this to move. Now it sounds like this. Oh yeah. Oh my God, I love it. Yeah, oh, I love it. Guys, if this bassline is not worth subscribing to the channel, I don't really know what is. So make sure that you subscribe to the channel right now. And if you're learning something new or just enjoying the process, make sure to also drop a like on the video. We probably need to work also on this Moog bass. I might add a little bit of big crusher to this one too. This is something that I encourage you guys to try. If you have a dark bass, this can give you just some sparkle on top that's gonna make it very easy to detect your bass even when you listen to it on like small devices that don't really have, you know, all the low-end information like big speakers or expensive headphones, and you want people to be able to hear the bass on any device. And for saturation, when it comes to the Moog bass, I love to use this saturator, but I also like to combine this most of the times with the Ableton saturator, which is so good. This is gonna help a lot, especially like on the low end. Listen. And one crucial thing that I did here was making the bass darker to make room for this other organ bass to really shine. And guys, at this point, I think we definitely have found the identity of this remix. It's all in here in these 8 bars, but I think now it's gonna be really, really easy to extend this to the rest of the arrangement. After these 8 bars, something needs to change. So basically we have the chorus, you know, this is definitely the hook of the song, but then we go into this, which is probably the verse, you know. So here he's picking up, like he's singing a lot more words. So I think we should try to match that with the drums. You know what? I think I actually want to try to use Maschine today. Probably we gotta bring in a clap, open hi-hat. So I want to select a bunch of sounds, and I'm gonna start from the closed hi-hat because I want something that picks up the energy here, right? So yeah. Okay, I just added a few more drum sounds with Maschine, and now we have this. Yeah, I love this. Pretty cool. And now coming from this chorus, I'm thinking, instead of bringing in these claps right away, what if we mute them here, and maybe we also mute the kick for a second, you know, because we're coming from that heavy 4 on the floor, but we're definitely missing an open hi-hat here. What I'm hearing is okay, that's definitely what we're missing. Let me find one. Oh my god, I love this. I think I want a little fill. You know, something like that. And maybe one thing that I really love to do, which is definitely part of my signature sound, is putting that crash on the 2, you know? That's what I'm hearing. You know, you expect it to be on the 1. Actually, no, you expect it to be here, but it's not coming. You expect it here instead. Oh my god, yes! So now I'm mostly duplicating what we have to really extend the arrangement. This way we can have a feel of how the song evolves with his vocals and adapt to that, because the vocals remain the heart of the song. Yeah, this all works. But I want to cut probably also the kick. Let me see. Yeah, no, actually, no, I think I need the clap here. Yeah, okay. Okay, so here he kind of goes back to the melody of the chorus, you know. Don't wanna strip no more, don't wanna hit that, but I don't know, I'm kind of sick of hearing this bass line, so maybe, what if we just break it down, high energy, and then slowly we kind of relax into this. Exactly, and then we go back into the chorus, but this time, no piano, no pad. I love to really follow what's happening with the vocal and not just focus on what would I do with the instrumental. Like, it's all based around this vocal, you know. I added some layers for the drums down here. These are mostly percussions, you know, so like this top loop, very simple, but this is kind of helping the groove, this little cowbell thing. And so here we go back into the chorus. This is the second chorus at this point. This time, after the chorus, we go into this other section where the vocals go. This almost sounds like a post-chorus for me, you know? So I thought, okay, this is actually gonna work perfectly with what we have now, because now we have this chorus which is very stripped down. But this is gonna give us the chance to slowly pick it up, and when we get into that post-chorus, go back to like full energy, you know, with the piano and everything. This post-chorus, you know? But to get there, I use this Juno saw, which opens really slowly, you know, the filter opens, and this helps bringing back the energy. This is very stripped down. I love it. And now we're into this sort of post-chorus, which leads to a brand new section. This one. And here we need to think, like, what do we do here? The melody almost sounds like a bridge. We've heard these drums, this 4 on the floor for so long at this point, and I kind of want to break this pattern, you know? What if we really break it down here? And so no more 4 on the floor. Why don't we try to bring it back closer to that hip-hop core that the song had originally? So maybe instead of using one of these bass sounds here, we completely switch it up. We make that, like, the drums a little bit more minimal, and I want to try to use something like an 808, you know, like an 808 bass is super unexpected for a section like this. And after 2 minutes of like high energy 4 on the floor, we break it down, and 808 comes in, and you're like, oh my God, what is happening, you know? Okay, so first of all, I want to find some drum sounds like, I don't know, a UKG kick, something like that. Exactly. So now here, I think we bring in the 808, because if we bring it in from the very beginning of this breakdown, it's gonna feel weird. We're coming from this super groovy part. Instead, no, let's relax a second, you know? But you know what? I actually want to also add the oh my God, I have so many ideas at the same time. I also want to add more chords, because here I feel like we don't have enough. With just like this pad is super dark, it's not enough. Oh yeah, for this section it's gonna be perfect. Let me try it. Oh yeah, so good. And to support that, I also added this sound, this sort of like pad with choirs in it. This is the vibe for this bridge. Super dreamy, you know, especially these voices. I think these are really like so tasteful. And now if we bring in the 808, I think it's gonna kill it. Let's try it. 1, 2, 3. Oh. And now, no. I don't want that open. I had to keep going. No drums at all. Just the chords. Oh my God. And this is gonna help us getting back into the 4 on the floor. I don't know if you ever tried to go from like a 4 on the floor to a pattern like this one. Sometimes it can be difficult to make a smooth transition between the two. So having this little breakdown that's coming from the vocals is gonna help us so much to go into the final chorus. This remix is gonna come out insane. All right, guys, so at this point we have the full structure of the song mapped out. I put in a bunch of locators like the hook, the verse. So let's go through it real quick and let's see what's missing. So we're definitely missing an intro at the moment. I just have dragged these chords here, you know, and we're gonna take care of the vocals in a second. What I want to do for the intro is probably having this piano. I think I want to start the song this way. And maybe, what about these vocals? This becomes the intro. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we're gonna have to filter these vocals somehow in the intro. Alright guys, so the session was a real mess, so I had to reorganize a little bit. And so I created a bunch of groups. While I was doing this, I also added a bunch of new layers that I want to show you real quick. First of all, I've added these effects to make some transitions a little bit smoother. You know, which is an effect that I made myself. You can find plenty of sweeps up, sweeps down, stuff like that. And I also added a layer for the main piano that we have. a super cheap sounding piano, but that's what I wanted, you know? I actually put also this DAW cassette on it to make it sound even cheaper. And then this is all going into a group where I'm, you know, adding some more EQ. So yeah, by doing all of these things, I kind of mixed the track a little bit while I was reorganizing it. And this is definitely not like a final mix, but it's already sounding pretty good. And I also added a touch of mastering. This is like my most basic mastering chain that I always use, that I always put there in like 5 minutes, some basic compression, you know, more compression, and the fab filter limiter. Nothing really special. But if you want to go deeper and learn how I properly mix and master my songs, I have a masterclass you should check out. It's linked down in the description. Over 7 hours of tutorials just focused on mixing and mastering. But back to our remix, it's finally time to talk about the vocals. If you want your remix to stand out, you really need to spend some time on the vocal production. And that's exactly why in the beginning I wanted to have the dry, the wet vocals, and the background vocals all separated, because now I have a lot more flexibility, and you'll see what I mean. So first of all, I want to start from the dry vocals. I want to use the dry vocals as much as possible and then add my own effects, because if you use the wet vocals, you're going to use the reverb, the delays that they used, and they probably won't fit well with your remix. And also by using your own effects, your own reverb, your own delay, you're going to be able to glue these vocals so much better with the rest of the track. So I want to add my own reverb, and for this, I think I want to use a plate reverb. You know, just listen to the sound of this reverb. I haven't even touched it yet, but it sounds so good already. Add quite a bit of pre-delay, because by adding the pre-delay, the reverb is gonna kick in a little bit later, like almost 50 milliseconds later. And so this is gonna allow you to keep the vocals in your face.
She don't want to strip no more, don't want to hit that pole.
Pretty cool. A little bit of delay. I'm gonna go for the H delay. And of course, here we also need the background, because we don't have the backgrounds here, right? So exactly. And one cool thing that you can do now that you have the tracks split is also cleaning up a little bit better all of these vocals, you know? So like this. Can you hear all of like those artifacts here? We can just fade it out, clean it a little bit more. Here, somehow the dry vocals sound really weak. They don't have the energy that they need. And so this is where I can bring in the wet vocals. Mute the rest. So when we go into this, so much more natural now, you know? And so you can kind of build this sort of like puzzle between the dry one, the wet one. Whenever you feel like the dry doesn't have enough energy, you can bring in the wet. So I'm going to do this all the way through the end, and then I'm going to show you a couple more tricks that are going to really elevate these vocals. As you can see now, it's a puzzle between the dry one and the wet one, you know? Sometimes it comes in, like in this post section, I thought the wet one was like fuller, you know? And I also added a little bit of reverb in this section to have it more spacious, even if this was already the wet one. So, you know, there are no rules as long as it sounds good to you. And now the real sauce. If you really want to make these vocals shine, you can take some words that deserve a little bit more attention and just take them from the lead vocals, bring them down in a separate track, and apply some effects to it, like reverb, like an additional delay. You can completely distort it. You can do whatever you want and create what are called throws. So let's say that, for example, we want to enhance this word bowl. What you can do is just take this and bring it to a new track. Now you have this, and you can apply whatever effect you want to apply to it. So for example, you can apply a huge reverb, and you can create what's called a reverb throw. And now you have this, okay? Listen. You know? This is so cool. This is one of my favorite parts of vocal production. And of course, like, this is the simplest way you can do it. There are so many more complex ways of achieving cool effects, but this is like the main concept. And after playing with it for like 45 minutes, I came up with this. We have these vocals in the intro. Just going through like Nectar, couple of presets, saturated phone, a bunch of throws. For example, here going into the break, the vocals were not sounding big. Instead, we're going into this very wide sounding break, very dreamy, you know? So I wanted to have like a big throw, and I used this one, like super long delay, you know? So cool. The phone effect again here, because this prepares you for the final hook. Oh yeah. And this is it, guys. The remix is done. I'm so happy about it. And by the time you're watching this video, you're gonna be able to find the remix in free download on my SoundCloud. It's linked down in the description. Give it a listen and let me know in the comments how it came out. And now to finish, I promised you guys to talk about what to do with it. How can you release it? Can you actually release it? So the most important thing that you have to know, and if you're new to the music industry, maybe you don't know this, you don't own the song, okay? So even if you remix this song, you put your own spin to it, but you're using someone else's work. These songs are copyrighted, and that means that you cannot make profit off of these songs. So that's why you cannot simply release your remixes on Spotify, Apple Music, or any of those platforms, okay? Because you would need to have the authorization from the original artist, or like from whoever owns the song. And if you have a remix that you really believe in, like I believe in this one, I always encourage you guys to try to make it official. That's exactly how I started my career. This was 10 years ago. We didn't even have the tools to split the acapella from the instrumental, but I made this remix of Dylan Francis, a song that I really loved. And I didn't have the stems. I didn't have the acapella. I just made a remix starting from the actual MP3. And a lot of my friends were like, you should send it to him and try to make it official. I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. But that's actually what happened. I sent it and they liked it. And so they were like, okay, we're going to release this officially. They gave me the stems, and then I replaced whatever I had with the original stems. And so I was able to actually release it. And nowadays it's so much easier to find the contacts of the labels, of the artists. And you probably think that this is impossible, but today you have another way of promoting songs, which is through like TikTok, Instagram. And many times remixes that were not official were just like put on TikTok, went viral, and that's how many artists started their career. So that's something that I really encourage you guys to try. You never know. I hope you learned something new today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, you enjoyed the process of me making this from scratch. Again, if you want to listen to the song, it's available on my SoundCloud in free download. Now drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and guys, I'll see you in the next one.